Hi everyone, it's All Things Lymph, and I'm back to give you some more information on different treatments that you can do and kind of create your own treatment protocol for long haul COVID and get that lymph system cleaned out, and as well clean your cardiovascular and your blood out. So they both work together and work in tandem together. So as we've talked about in previous videos. So let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to go to the next slide here and make sure everybody knows that I did put a disclaimer on everything, because I know I've talked about that before, that I'm not a medical doctor. This is not medical advice. I'm just putting this information out for an educational or informational purpose. So you always want to make sure you check with your doctor if you're under doctor's care to make sure it's okay to do any of the natural methods that I've been doing to clean out my lymph system, and or work with your doctor on some of the treatments that I'm going to talk about today. So let's go ahead and move forward, and we're going to just kind of summarize real quick. If you have not watched my other videos, please subscribe and go and watch those, because we talked about some of the research on COVID-19 and the long hauler symptoms. And then I actually took a bunch of time and went through the 98 symptoms that the Survivor Corps survey put out. And those were surveys of, long haulers participated in the survey. So they had quite a few. It was like 1,500 people or 2,000 people. And they listed all their symptoms. And then I took all those 98 symptoms, and every single one of those symptoms, except for I believe 19 of them, 19 out of the 98, were symptoms that occur from our lymph system being clogged or blocked up. So, and then our immune system constantly, continuously trying to get them out. So that's why when we got COVID, when we had our acute phase of it, the first couple weeks we had it, we never stopped. Our immune system never stopped being inflamed and trying to fight off the COVID. Why did it not stop? Well, because those proteins, those sticky proteins, like I've talked about in my previous videos, they break off of the virus and they get stuck in our cardiovascular and our lymph system. And once they're in there, our lymph system just continues on. So the symptoms we had in our acute phase when we first got it, we're still suffering from those symptoms. Those symptoms are they just stay there. We don't have that period of, we're feeling better, because we're still having the fatigue. You still have the brain fog. You still have the pain in the different limbs of your body, in your legs or your arms or your abdomen, because those are all symptoms of your immune system reacting to those proteins that have broken off the virus and stayed in your system. The virus is shed out of your system. We get rid of that, but the proteins themselves have broken off, which I've shown that in some research that was done at the end of April in previous videos. So go back and watch those and subscribe, because the more people I have subscribing and sharing these videos on Facebook or wherever you can share them, the faster it'll get out to the long haulers, and the long haulers can see that yes, we can improve our health, we can feel better, we can actually get rid of all of these symptoms, because we can get our lymph system under control so that and remove the proteins out of our body. And I'm showing how I'm doing that naturally. You may have to have a combination of traditional medicine with your doctor and then these natural methods. But these natural methods, they work very, very quickly, because you get your lymph system cleaned out, you're feeling great. It's just like any other time you have a virus. So you wouldn't want to stay having like a tonsillitis where your tonsils are swollen up. That's part of your respiratory system, or not your respiratory system, but your lymph system is your tonsils and your adenoids. Those are two of the organs. It's part of the lymph nodes. And so, or part of the lymph system. And those, when you get a sore throat, you don't walk around with a sore throat for 6 months or 3 months or a year. you go to the doctor, they give you some antibiotics or whatever to kill it if it's bacteria. If it's not, then you have to drink water, you have to put warm compresses on your throat, use your Vicks, all this other stuff until your body gets rid of it. But if your body didn't get rid of that, you have a chronic inflamed tonsils, then how do you get your tonsils cleaned out? How do you clean out your adenoids? It's the same thing with COVID. We have to clean that out of our system. So that's what we know so far, is that COVID-19, it's a vascular virus, and I've shown that in previous videos. It is not respiratory. So that being said, with the being in the vascular system, the lymph system and the cardiovascular system, they work together, they work in tandem. And if one is clogged, the other one is having problems. If the other one's clogged, the other one's having problems. They're both going to have problems when both are having issues. So therefore, we have to purge those proteins, those sticky virus proteins from COVID out of our system, because that's what's happened to us. How do we clean it out? You use a combination of the natural methods and the mainstream medicine. And we're going to talk about those. Let me get rid of this. And we will go to the treatment manual. Now, these are the additional treatments to choose from to detox your lymph system. You want to do eating your anti-inflammatory foods, which include the following: green leafy vegetables, cruciferous vegetables, so broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, berries. Eat lots of berries, eat lots of broccoli, eat lots of cauliflower, eat lots of cabbage. They're very, very good and cleansing for your lymph system. You want to clean that out. It cleans your blood too. So it's targeting the cardiovascular, it's targeting your lymph system. All of these foods, they're anti-inflammatory. They're going to take that inflammation down. So nuts, healthy nuts. There some of the articles and stuff I looked at said chia, flax, hemp, pumpkin. Honestly, I eat almonds. The raw almonds. I do not eat the ones that are salted or roasted or anything like that. I just have the raw ones you buy in the store, put them in my salad, that kind of thing. I don't want to do the salt, because the salt for me, it increases the inflammation I was having, because it makes me swell up. There are some people that have high blood pressure. If you have damage, from COVID to your cardiovascular system, whether it be temporary or permanent, and you have high blood pressure, obviously you don't want to take in a lot of salt. So you got to be careful on that. If you have low blood pressure, your doctor may be telling you, he may be prescribing that you do have a little bit of salt, because he's raising the blood pressure up. So it just depends on what your situation is. But I think the raw is probably better. And then you also want to do your omega-3 foods like salmon or wild seafood. Those are just two examples I put down. However, omega-3 is in other foods. It's in boiled eggs and things like that too. So just take in some food that has that. Otherwise, there are many supplements out there for omega-3s and omega-6s and all that if you want to increase that. Herbs and spices, you want to do the ginger, the turmeric, the garlic, and the rosemary. Onions are very, very good as well to help clean your system out, and it's very good for respiratory system as well. You want to eat all whole foods as much as you can. Eat healthy fats, like avocado is a healthy fat. That would be one example. Your mayonnaise, that's really not a healthy fat, so you want to kind of stay away from that kind of fat. I've also got all the organic raw fruits and vegetables. Eat as much of that as you can. I know sometimes they're hard to find. I have trouble finding those. I live in a rural area, so sometimes I just can't get some of that. But if you can't, just make sure you wash everything off. Wash it off really well, and eat as much of that as you can. The herbal teas, there's all kinds of different things you can use for the herbal teas. I know for my protocol, like I've talked in previous videos, I'm using the dandelion tea bags that I buy in the store, as well as I went out and actually dug up my dandelion roots. Once I was able to move my arm and get my lymph system unclogged on my left side of my body, and I got some of that pain gone by the end of the third week. By the fourth, I think by the I cleaned it all out by the end of the 3rd week. By the 4th and 5th week, I was able to move my arm enough to where I could actually go out and dig a little bit. So I did dig up some dandelion roots and dried my own, and I use that. I make a concoction where I boil those roots in water, and then I strain that off and drink the water with lemon and ginger. So there's also other ones like good grass tea, I think. There's one called that. And then echinacea tea, turmeric, cinnamon, cayenne pepper, nutmeg, black pepper, lemons, and limes. All of those things, you want to have that in your water and you want to drink it. And that's the other thing with water. You've got to hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Lymphatic system is often stagnant because we are dehydrated. Even if you think you are not dehydrated, you are. You would be surprised. You actually need to drink enough water that equals half of your body weight in ounces. That's the rule of thumb. So your lymph is made up of 95% water. That's why you have to drink a lot of water to flush that through. Don't drink the caffeine or something with caffeine in it and think, oh, I've drank enough water. No, because the caffeine that you just drank, it dries your system out. That's what caffeine does. It dehydrates you. So do not drink the caffeine. If you could avoid it, I'm not saying go completely cold turkey, but I would limit yourself to maybe one time a day. Don't drink that caffeine because it's going to dry you out. You want to increase the fluid. Don't dry it, because the lymph fluid becomes thick and it won't move around. It won't circulate. So we need, as long haulers, we have to circulate that lymph system to get out those proteins. So you also want to add lemon to your water to alkalize your lymph system, and that helps to break down the protein. And you want to avoid any foods that you have allergies to. Don't eat them because it's going to make your lymph system inflamed, and it already is inflamed. So we have to calm it down. So that's why you need to eat all foods and drink a lot of water that has the spices and the echinacea, the lemon, the turmeric, and all that, the ginger, because that's going to help to calm your lymph system down. But it's also going to help to calm it down by not eating foods that irritate it. So any allergen that you might have to certain foods or outdoors or what have you in your environment, you want to quell all that down. You want to stop or minimize all of that as much as you possibly can. I know it's hard, especially in the beginning when you're starting this protocol, because you don't feel well, but you do a little bit at a time. That's how I did. I could just do what I could do at first, and then as I started to get cleaned out, I started to feel a lot better. And once you start feeling better, you can do more and more and more, because that's the main thing too. You want to move. You want to get your body moving, because your muscles move your lymph. The heart, our cardiovascular system, our heart moves our blood, but we do not have a pump for our lymph system, so it can get stuck really easily and not circulate very well. So here are some other things too. You can avoid the sugars, sugar drinks, artificial sweeteners. You want to avoid all of that, the fat, greasy foods, the high fat condiments like your mayonnaise. Choose mayonnaise or choose mustard or things like that don't have all that high fat in there, and put some onion on if you can handle onion, or some bell pepper. Bell pepper are really good, especially the red bell pepper. They're very, very good for antioxidants, and they clean your system out. If you can eat any of those kinds of things, go ahead and do it. Regular exercise, you want to do that. Any kind of movement. I don't care if you just walk from one end of the room to the other end. Do it, 10 times a day if you can. Whatever you can do to get moving and move that. Move to get everything circulating. Use a rebounder. That is a trampoline. It is kind of expensive to buy. My colleague at work who is suffering from long haul COVID, she's using my treatment protocol, but she also decided to do the rebounder, and she loves it, uses it every day. She's up to like 30 minutes a day on it, and it's worked wonders for her. She swears by it. So that's something you could think about if you have the money for that. I didn't buy it because I didn't want to spend the money on that, and I'm doing equally as well without it, because I'm doing my elliptical that I did have, and I'm just doing that as my exercise. So really any movement that you can do Walking is good, especially in the beginning, because it's easier on your joints and everything, especially when they're hurting from having from having the inflammation, the chronic inflammation. So detox bath you could do, the foam rolling where you're using like a self-myofascial release. And I think that's where you roll like a foam tube or something over your skin. I don't know. I've got to look that up more. Lymphatic massage, that helps move your lymph fluid and drain the lymphatic system. I did not go to a masseuse for that. You can. There are massage therapists who are trained in that specifically. If you can handle that, if you can handle, if you're not in so much pain that you could handle somebody doing that, I would encourage you to do that because it would be really helpful. I had too much pain. I wouldn't even have been able to stand somebody doing that to me. I did the self-massage where I just gently used my fingertips and massaged all the lymph node areas on my body, especially at the base of my skull, to get all that moving, and my neck and collarbone areas, because it was all clogged up in there and it was causing a lot of the problems with my arms, neck, and shoulders. And so that was very effective. I just did that and it started working right away. Within 2 days, I was already starting to feel that some of that pain was a little bit, it was subsiding a little bit at that point. Then I got my brushes and I did the dry brushing. Dry brushing is excellent. That's part of my protocol. I would encourage everybody, no matter what combination you use, get the dry brushes, because the dry brushes are going to circulate that lymph. And it's a very easy way to get it circulated because in the beginning you really can't, it's difficult to exercise. So without that exercise, you can move your lymph very easily with the dry brushing. And I talked about that in other videos. Please look at the other videos. And like I said, subscribe, because we need to get all this message out to everybody that's a long hauler. And then let's see here, infrared sauna. That was one that they mentioned in a lot of the things I read. It can be done at home, but it promotes sweating and cell regeneration, which would be good for us as well, because we don't know what kind of cell damage having long haul COVID has done. And if we can regenerate some of that and make that better, that is good. But I guess it's supposed to be not very expensive to do the infrared sauna at home. So you can check that out, or let me know if you find anything out on it. I have not looked into that very much further. So I will hopefully get around to that. The deep breathing, the reason why you would do that is because you're going to move your respiratory muscles in your abdomen when you're doing deep breathing. 2/3 of our lymph nodes are in our abdomen. We need to move those muscles as much as possible. So the deep breathing, especially in the beginning, is going to be very good for those of the long haulers. If you're a long hauler that you really can't exercise right now, deep breathing is going to be excellent for that, and that's going to bring oxygen to all of your body as well, which is going to be very helpful to get rid of the toxins as well. But it's going to help to move that lymph system in the abdomen area. If you have a lot of abdominal pain and still having diarrhea or things like that, cramping in that area, you're going to need to do the deep breathing, because you're going to want to move that. Once you start getting everything out and you can start exercising, then you're going to want to do some of those Pilates abdominal exercises where you're protecting your back and you're just, laying on your back on the floor and doing some of that so that you can move those muscles. Dry brushing, that's there. Like I've said before, I think dry brushing is the core of treatment, and everyone should use the dry brushing. It's excellent for that, for moving the lymph system and circulating everything. Also, you need to alternate hot and cold temperatures in your water while taking a shower. That's a good thing. I did that really in the beginning. I'm still doing it somewhat now, but right now I don't really need to do that anymore. I'm progressed enough to where I don't really need that. So that's something that you can definitely do in the first several weeks. Exercise ball, you want to gently bounce up and down on an exercise ball if you can. I have one of those, and I did use that in the beginning. So that's a good one. Until I could really get going on my elliptical, I did use that exercise ball a little bit. In the inversion table, you want to, this is something you can look into. This is something where they, they invert you kind of upside down. I think you can go to different places or massage places where they can actually use this, or even a chiropractor. Chiropractor might be able to have this available. But this is a treatment that they do use. Medical doctor actually might even be able to do this as well, because they invert you upside down, and that helps to, they use gravity to help circulate the lymph fluid. So also wearing loose-fitting clothing. Something I want to say about that is women really need to pay special attention to that, because we have to wear bras, and wearing those bras, you don't have to, I suppose. We could go around without them, but if you don't feel comfortable with that, like I don't, so what I did is years back I had some neck and back issues, so the chiropractor had told me to change my bra up to something that had a wider strap on it to go over the shoulder, so that you have more, it spreads the pressure from holding the breasts up. It spreads the pressure across the shoulder instead of just one little pinpoint if you have the really thin bra straps. So you want to go with a correct size of bra, because there's a high percentage of women that walk around with bras that are too small. They don't know how to size themselves, so it's something to look into. Wear a larger size bra, because guaranteed you're wearing one probably too small for yourself. So that's going to free that up so that you don't have so much restriction, and it's not compressing your lymph nodes and your lymph system, because our lymph nodes and lymph systems are just under the skin. So that bra is going to be, if it's too tight or what have you, it's constantly digging into our skin all around those areas. And so you want that fluid to flow freely. So what I've been doing, how I've kind of went around this, is I wear my bra to work, all that kind of thing. But when I come home, I take my bra off earlier in the evening, so that I have much more time without it on, and in that way I can have more time where my lymph system is circulating. And I actually using the elliptical, it's real easy on the joints, and I'm able to exercise without the bra on. So I do not actually wear that when I exercise, because I want the lymph system circulating as much as possible, as well as my cardiovascular system and the blood and everything. So, you think about it, guys, you can look at your wrists, turn your wrists over, you see your veins in your wrists. Our cardiovascular system is just below our skin as well. So we're also pinching that off as well. So just food for thought, guys. If you're wearing the jocks, if you're wearing tight underwear, they say to wear the boxer shorts, because that's better for your pelvic area, so that you're not wearing anything too tight and restricting that your lymph system from flowing, the fluid from flowing. So food for thought on that. Same thing with shoes. Anything like that you've got on is too tight or too small, you need to rethink all of that. Detox your environment, get rid of any toxic cleaning things, try to go for more natural products. I know that's hard, and you've already got stuff there that you don't want to get rid of, you paid good money for, but that can just be a slow process. And odds are, if you have long haulers, you're not using a lot of these things at the time anyway, because you're barely getting through the days. And so that's something to consider as you go along. And then the natural cosmetics and skincare products, if you're using stuff that has a lot of chemicals in it, which a lot of ours is here in the United States, you want to go with natural products. I had already switched that out before I ever had COVID some years back. I try to do everything as naturally as possible, and I did that from years back when my kids were little. I changed all that stuff up, and tried to be as natural as I can. But I even found, my lotions have more chemicals in it than I actually want to have. So I'm using I just took olive oil and I infused it with some rosemary essential oil, and I'm rubbing that on my skin, and that's what I'm using to moisturize right now, because I wanted to keep my self from being as inflamed as possible. I don't want to irritate anything right now, because I'm cleaning everything out. So that's what I'm doing. But it's up to you. That's something to look at. There's also enzymes that you can use. My colleague at work, she is using the proteolytic enzyme. She loves it. She feels better taking it. And these are enzymes that help break down the organic debris, those proteins. It's going to break down any of that protein stuff from the sticky spiked proteins after that might be in your system, but it also helps with eating any debris or junk maybe from your food that you're eating, and eases a burden of allergies, the allergy-like compounds in your lymph system. So you definitely want to look into that. Like I said, my colleague is using that. Excuse me. The hot steam packs placed over any area, this is what the regular doctors, they recommend this. Excuse me. And I use them. I had to use this on my little girl when she was 6 years old. She had a childhood virus, Fifth's disease, and one of her lymph nodes in her neck became hardened. And the doctor said that we had to massage that and put the steam pack on her neck every single day when she came home from school until that was gone, until we got that completely cleaned out. I had remembered that because she's 26 now, so that's been 20 years ago. I had remembered that when I first started my protocol, and so that third week is when I added the hot steam packs, and that's when I added that hot steam pack, that's by the end of the week of doing it, I put it on all my left side area, neck and everything, and the spleen area. I put that on there for every day for probably 4 to 6 times in the evening, every evening for that entire third week. And by the end of the week, my spleen spurted out a bunch of junk, and the whole, as soon as it spurted out, everything on the left side from my head all the way down to the spleen and my arm and everything, all of it drained. I felt everything drain out of there. So it is the hot steam packs. I use those. They're very, very effective. And again, regular doctors even recommend that. Excuse me. So we want to do also adequate rest is another thing that your regular doctors will recommend as well. Taking over-the-counter pain relievers, they recommend that. Some naturalist articles and different sites that I found on the internet, they don't recommend the ibuprofen, the aspirin, and everything. They use the turmeric to help relieve pain. But you know what? I'm sorry. This is where if your head's hurting real bad and that turmeric's not taking care of it, you need to use the ibuprofen or the aspirin or whatever. Some of you guys, you have pain medications because your pain's so bad that you have from the doctor. And so until you get your lymph system cleaned out, the pain is going to be bad. Once you start cleaning it out, you'll see that pain subside, and then you can hopefully get off of those pain medications. You won't need them. You won't hardly need those that much. So, but it's a gradual process, so you've got to use what you have to use. And then we have, let's see here, I've got some recipes for you guys. This is my recipe that I used for my lymphatic detox tea. I juiced a half of a lemon into a large coffee cup. I put the shredded minced or powdered ginger in a cup with lemon. I used what I had, and then I put the dandelion tea bag in the cup. If you don't have the dandelion tea bags and you have the dandelion root, you can use that. But in the beginning, I used the tea bags because I couldn't go out and dig up anything. My arms weren't too bad. There was no way. The one I couldn't even use hardly. So just use that's my recipe that I use, and I continue to use that one. I am taking the turmeric, but I'm not putting it in my drinks. I just take the supplement. There was also another one, Dr. Josh Axe's detox drink, and I put that here, and I put the link to his web page that had his secret detox drink. But that incorporates everything you need to detox that lymph system, and his is a great recipe. There's also a YouTube video that my mom sent me, Dr. Alan Mandel, DC. He's a doctor. He's got the liver maintenance drink, and this is to detox and to also just keep your liver clean once you get it detoxed. But you can use the nutmeg. He uses nutmeg, cinnamon, ginger, turmeric, lemon juice, fresh cracked pepper, because pepper is good for your system as well. Dash of cayenne pepper, a little bit of honey or natural sweetener if you want, and then you mix that in the water. But you can go to that video and the YouTube video. He's got over 1 million views, I think, on that one. So evidently it's a popular one. But you can use these recipes for yourself. There's also a recipe that Dr. Axe also had, and his is a recipe for liver cleansing. It's the 6 carrots, 1 orange, 1 knob of ginger root, 1 cucumber. You add all the ingredients to your vegetable juicer and consume it immediately. This one is, I guess kids really like this one from what he's saying on his website, so you can also use it for your children. draxe.com. Go to that website. It's phenomenal. He's got tons and tons and tons of natural stuff on there, and he tells you why. That's what I love about it. He's telling you why you need this, what is going on in your body. He's got quite a bit of stuff on the lymph system, which I was really happy with. I'll show you his webpage here in a little bit. And then to detox your liver, I looked up different things for different parts of the organs of the lymph system, so that is all in here too. You've got detox your liver, you've got spleen detox, and pretty much everything that I'm doing is going to detox all of the lymph organs. So if you follow my protocol, you will get all of your organs detoxed with what I'm doing. The spleen also uses, you can use the same things I'm doing, the milk thistle and the dandelion root, and it will detox the spleen as well. The appendix, they do recommend using fenugreek seed to make a tea for the appendix. Now, I have not tried that. That's something I might look into, because I've actually never tried fenugreek. I don't know anything really about it, so I kind of want to learn something, a little bit more about that and just check it out. And I just kind of want to taste it too and see what it's about. But the thymus, detox, that is different. The thymus is our main organ. It's like the brain center of our lymph system, and it starts to deteriorate after 30 years old. It starts to shrink. And so doctors don't know why. All the research says they don't know, they don't understand why. However, we can help to keep our thymus healthy. And I found a website, which I'll show you in a minute, where it's very good in describing the thymus and what it does and why you need to keep it healthy and how it prolongs your life. And it also helps to keep you from aging so fast. But just think, if those COVID-19 proteins are stuck in that, that's not a good thing. You're likely going to deteriorate faster, and you're going to age a lot faster, so your quality of life is going to go down. But the treatment for the thymus detox is much different than the other organs, and so I've listed that here. There's the thymus extract that is made from thymus gland of calves, like the little baby cows. There's thymic protein called TPA. There's an oral nutritional supplement made from the calf thymus gland. You also take zinc, vitamin A and C in high doses. You take nutrient supplements. And then there's this thing called astragaloside 4. There's also a generic version of that as well. There's thymus live cell injections. And I guess they've done injections with the thymus since the 1930s. He explains all that on his website, this website that I'll show you here in a minute. And they also use like a medicinal mushroom extract, and there's a beta glucan that they use